LATD Nation, what is good? We are once again back in the studio as always with another video as part of our ongoing annual Spooktacular, where we will be reviewing movies all month long in the horror genre or even horror adjacent. And today we are talking about Vampire in Brooklyn. No little break from the more serious horror type movies we've been reviewing. This being a horror comedy. Mm-hmm. Directed by Wes Craven, came out in 1995, starring the legendary Eddie Murphy.
Yes, and other black all-stars out there like Angela Bassett. What's his name? John Witherspoon, rest in peace.
Of course.
Kadeem Hardison from A Different World fame. And Alan Payne, who's been a really big black all-star. Like his resume is ginormous in the black community.
Yeah, no, he's been around for a minute.
Like New Jack City, Jason's Lyric. What else was he? He was in House of Pain by Tyler Perry, and one of the few good works that Tyler Perry has done.
Hey, we'll tackle him at some point. We'll get to Tyler Perry at some point.
We'll wait till Black History Month. But anyway, Vampire in Brooklyn, man. Eddie, what were you saying about Eddie Murphy then?
Oh yeah. So at this point, this is 1995. So Eddie Murphy, well-established actor at this point.
Oh yeah.
Through his stand-up comedy specials such as Delirious,
Eddie Murphy's Raw, yep.
Yeah, and of course, legendary movies like Beverly Hills Cop and things of that nature. So by this point, Eddie Murphy, very well established, very well known actor, and this movie was kind of seen as a little bit of a change of pace for him because I think this was maybe one of, if not his very first venture into something that wasn't strictly comedy. Yeah. And I love Eddie Murphy, but I mean, shit. Boy, what we watched last night, yeah.
It got a 30-something% on Rotten Tomatoes audience score.
Audience score, I'm about to say. You want to read the actual critic score?
12.
Yep, 12%.
I don't even got to look at it, bro. It's 12%. I'm like, golly, this movie ain't that bad, right? And then after watching it, it don't deserve a 12.
I mean, but it don't deserve much higher than that. And 18%.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll give it about a 20, man. It's still an F, but I mean,
for sure.
But
F minus or F plus. I'll give it an F plus.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Nah, F plus would be 50%. Nah, this is F minus right here, bro. But yeah, what'd you think, man?
So getting into the positives, quote unquote. The thing I'll say about this movie is the effects are good, the cinematography is competent, and that's pretty much where I end my positives and get into my negatives. Because to be real with you, this movie is bad. Like, it's not 12% bad, but it's bad. Because, first of all, you have Eddie Murphy. Of course, this is one of his first ventures into a more serious role, quote unquote. And it shows because Eddie he slips in and out of, because it's supposed to be like a vampire from I don't know where.
Right, yeah, somewhere.
Romania or something like that. It doesn't really explain.
I was getting Egypt from the coffin, but it is what it is.
Yeah, because the plot of the movie, for anybody who doesn't know, as the name implies, Vampire in Brooklyn is a vampire, Eddie Murphy, coming to Brooklyn to look for a woman who is of vampire's blood as well. Right,
descent or whatever,
Something like that.
Because they're played by Angela Bassett. She's competent in this movie. Some of my positives, the performances aren't bad.
They're middle of the road.
They're very middle of the road.
They're very middle of the road.
Like Angela Bassett does her thing, but Kadeem Hardison and John Witherspoon really stole the show for me, especially as far as comedy. My biggest disappointment with this movie was really I expected it to be funnier than it was.
Yeah, because, and I had brought this up to you when we were watching it the other day.
Is that right?
The biggest, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Pretty sure, yeah. But yeah, no, the biggest problem with this movie and its biggest cardinal sin is that it doesn't know what it wants to be.
That part.
1 minute, it's this serious sort of melancholic horror vampire sort of story, but then, at other times it'll be a standard sort of 90s to 2000s Eddie Murphy movie. and it'll have a lot of funny moments. And honestly, those work for me better than any of the serious moments.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
And for me, I just feel like this movie would have been better off being a horror, or it would have been better off being a comedy movie.
Oh yeah,
Just off of the premise alone, it was Eddie Murphy in the prime of his career in terms of comedy.
Right.
In the 90s, might as well.
Because the thing is, when you got comedians like Eddie Murphy and John Witherspoon in any type of property, you expect it to be a comedy. Pretty much all John Witherspoon did back in the 90s and early 2000s was nothing but comedies.
And for those of you that don't know John Witherspoon, of course, he played Granddad in the legendary Boondocks, which we will at some point talk about. Who knows when?
He played Pops Williams in the Wayans Brothers. He was Craig's dad in Friday.
The list goes on.
Friday movies. He's definitely a black legend for real. Like, well, he's a legend in general, in my honest opinion.
I agree.
Like, a lot of comedies wouldn't have the spice that they do if it wasn't for him. That very grandfather-like nature. You know, the grandfather at the that cusses all the time at the family reunions, who's always who thinks he's swagged out.
Facts.
But everybody don't. But nobody wants to say anything, so they just go with it. Like, he was in another movie by Eddie Murphy, Boomerang. That was another one. You got to coordinate, you know. So big shout outs to John Witherspoon, J.D. Witherspoon, his son. You know, rest in peace to John Witherspoon. But to be honest, man, like I said, I expected this to be funnier. I expected it to be more kind of out there. I expected it to be more, a little bit more like Soul Plane too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me take that back. I didn't expect it to be like Soul Plane, but I expected it to be.
I
don't know.
I expected it to be a little bit more, or a little bit less serious, I guess.
Yeah,
you could say. Just kind of have a little bit more fun with its premise, because I just feel like it takes itself serious to a point to where it doesn't feel like it's having fun with itself.
Right. That's what
it feels very, at points, just monotonous and just kind of
bland.
That's what I'm saying. It just feels like it doesn't have an identity to stand on. It doesn't stand on its own 2 feet. I mean, you take a shot, like any shot of this movie that's not Eddie Murphy, just a random shot in the city, like Brooklyn or whatever. This looks like any other movie that was set in Brooklyn or New York in the 1990s, in my opinion.
Yeah, to be honest.
There's nothing about it that stands out.
Not
and
really.
if it stands out for all the wrong reasons. Like Eddie's accent ain't good.
Nah, and then the wig and everything.
Oh, yeah. No,
the whole costume is just weird, bro. Like,
facts.
And then the thing is, he wears the same thing every night or every day, essentially. And it's just ridiculous. But that's kind of the point. But it should have been ridiculous and amped up, piled on the ridiculousness.
Facts, because like you said at the end of the movie, and spoilers, I mean,
it's been out for almost 30 years. So
so I mean, if you haven't seen it, to be real with you, I envy you for not having seen it. I mean, I wish that I could say the same, but I digress.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
So the end of the movie, because in the movie, what's his name?
Kadeem Hardison. He played Dwayne Wayne in a different world.
Yeah. So what it is that he early on in the movie gets bitten or infected with his blood or something.
Yeah, no,
like
he shares Maximilian, or Max, played by Eddie Murphy. That's the vampire's name. Infects Julius Kadeem Hardison with his blood. Not infects per se, but feeds him his blood and turns him into a zombie-like ghoul.
Yeah, so over the course of the movie, and this is one of the few elements of the movie where the comedy is consistent.
Right.
Throughout the movie, he's becoming more and more of a ghoul, and he's losing more and more of his body parts and things like that. And so by the end of the movie, when Max, of course, dies, obviously being the antagonist. At the end of the movie, because John Witherspoon, his uncle, is like a cab driver, a limo driver, or something like that. They get in the limo, and Julius finds Max's ring, and he puts it on, and he becomes a vampire himself.
Right.
And the way that these two play off of each other, with Julius now being a vampire, was funnier and more intriguing than anything else throughout the rest of the movie.
And keep in mind, this is only like the last 15 seconds.
Yeah, basically, this is the last minute and a half, I think.
Yeah, if that, because it's just, I feel like that premise was way more intriguing than this whole movie.
Facts.
Because like I said, those two guys, they stole the whole show from me.
Facts. Every single scene they were in, especially together.
Exactly. Because like Kadeem Hardison, funny enough, is a really good comedic actor. And I haven't seen him. Do a lot of comedic roles. But then again, that's probably should be expected. A different world being a comedy as well as a drama. So, maybe I just haven't paid attention that much. But just seeing that and just seeing how he would go from this goofy goob and then he turned into this really swagged out like vampire with confidence and everything. Like I ain't gonna lie, I got a pimp named Slickback vibes from him, to be honest.
Yeah, no, for real. It really makes you wish that it had just been a movie about these two.
Yeah.
It didn't need to have the romance and there's a love triangle between Angela Bassett's character, because she's a
Alan
cop,
Payne,
she's a cop, and her partner and her kind of have a thing going, and then Max is in the way. Just put that aside and just make a comedy. Like, it's just a ridiculous premise. Just sell it.
Now, this is what I meant to say. I wouldn't say I expected it to be more like Soul Plane, but I did expect it to be more like Black Knight with Martin Lawrence.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I expected it more to be like that. Have a tad bit of seriousness, but mostly just be a comedy.
Facts. Just mostly just make fun of his premise. Just take his premise and just do the most with it.
Because Soul Plane didn't just make fun of his premise. It stomped on his premise too.
Oh, for sure. I love that movie.
I hate that movie. Like I can't stand. Well, I won't say I hate it. I just don't really care about it. Like
it's got a lot of ignorant stereotypes about us as people.
Yeah, it's like I ain't gonna lie. I felt offended by it sometimes in some cases.
It definitely aged poorly. It's like 20 years old this year.
Yeah.
It aged poor for real. Like so much of what this movie is would not fly today. No pun intended. I ain't even mean it like that. But no, most of this movie today just wouldn't be considered appropriate just because of just so much of what's in it. Not just even towards black people, but just people in general, honestly. Yeah. It's just it just wouldn't go over well these days.
Nah, it wouldn't. But this movie, like I said, I expected it to be a little bit more over the top. Now, there were moments in there that were funny. Like anytime Eddie Murphy wasn't a vampire, which was really just 2 times, when he becomes the pastor and then he becomes that Italian dude, that Italian white guy. And then, the scene that had us both falling on the floor laughing was when he's sticking up the whole Italian restaurant as the Italian white guy, right? And then he's telling them to put all their weapons in on the table and this, that, and the third, right? Next thing you know, a cat jumps and tries to attack him, and he just shoots the cat off the.
It's just so random
of the sky.
Out of nowhere. All you see is like the cat's fur, just like
right. No child, shoot. What am I about to say? No animal endangerment or nothing like that.
Of course, but
it was just so out of nowhere, and it's just I was like, wait, what just happened?
And stuff like that right there is why it just feels like it has no identity, because it's just like you have stuff like this. But then you have other scenes where Max, pretty much maims Angela Bassett's roommate. So it's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, in that whole scene, I just expected it to be like he just infects her with and makes her a ghoul too or a vampire too,
something like that.
But then he's like, did he just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
I'm like, that was kind of dumb. To be honest, this movie shouldn't have been as heavy as it was. It shouldn't. It wasn't even really that heavy, but it shouldn't have been as serious as it was. Like we keep saying, it's just a really disappointment. It's a disappointment for me. To be honest, man, it's just something to watch for me, bro.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's really not much else to say about this movie, honestly.
Like, it's really a 5 out of 10.
At best. That's us being generous because we Eddie Murphy fans, to be real with you.
Right, yeah, most definitely. I love Eddie Murphy. Like, Dr. Dolittle was good to me. Meet Dave wasn't bad. I thought that was pretty cool, too.
He'll always be goated because of Shrek, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, really, yeah, Shrek. And 1,000 Words was actually really good to me. That's cap. But, that's a damn lie. But 1,000 Words could have died 1,000 deaths, to be honest. Like, if I'm being honest. Like, but Eddie Murphy, like Beverly Hills Cop, Coming to America, Boomerang, those are 3 of his classics right there. That's way better than what he did in this movie, man. Like
100%. If you're gonna watch an Eddie Murphy movie from back in the day, watch one of those.
And the crazy part is about those movies, they're not tonally. Yeah, they're kind of more dramatic. They're kind of as dramatic as this movie was, but they have funny elements in it.
That's exactly.
Like in those movies, I guess except for Beverly Hills Cop, Trading Places and Trading Places and stuff, and Coming to America. Really, in Boomerang, he takes a more subtle stance in that movie as well. Like he doesn't really show. He shows emotion, but he's not like over the top like he is in like the early 2000s. You know. So it was good to see that. Like they could have pulled elements from that or something like that. It didn't need to be as serious as it was, man.
Yeah, nah. That's pretty much all I have to say, honestly.
Yeah, same here, bros and sisters out there, you know.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we got more videos coming, man. And what else is there to say? It's just
something to watch. But hey, yeah, that's pretty much it. This has been Rodney.
Shoot, this has been Jay.
And remember to always look at the details.
Yes, sir. Peace. More videos coming soon. Stay tuned. You know, tournament. We'll see. Look out for the news with that. Just know certain people in this room might get their tail whooped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right.
Sparking Zero video coming soon. Hey, but remember,
look at the details.
Peace.